Hello everyone, my name is RJ, together with a group 3 or team 3 with Yasmin and Carmina Torres. So right now we're gonna answer the number 6 to 10 question. But first we need to analyze the recent investment choice of the real estate company. So we begin with the payoff table for the real estate investment, which is the residential, commercial, and land transportation. So dito nakita na natin yung result no ng ating um, particulars na regret na loss. So makikita natin na yung pinakamataas na booming is yung residential, yung pinakamataas na stable is 10 at yung pinakamataas na declining ay 15. So sa maximum regret natin, makikita naman natin na ang minimax regret is yung ating land development, which is the 15, no? 15 million, no? Yung ating declining. So, sa land development, meron tayong 0 booming, stable 10, at 15 na declining. So, number 6 question is that what external factors like zoning laws, stock incentive could affect the payoff? How might this be included in the influence diagram? So the external factors that can affect the payoffs and how they might be included in the influence diagram. First is the zoning loan. So dito sa zoning dito sa zoning loan, ito kasi ay isang loss, no? It's a loss there can be restricted or enable the type of development allowed, like residential, commercial, or mixed use. The changes in zoning laws could increase or decrease the potential profitability of land development or the commercial. That especially if new zoning allows for more lucrative use of land, and this factor can be included in external node that influence the payoff of the investment. So dito sa zoning, ito lang naman ay yung pabago-bagong pamamaraan or laws, no? Mga bago-bagong batas ng zoning na maaring mag-fluctuate, like tumaas at bumaba yung potential na kayang kumita ng land development at ng commercial. So, lalo na kung bagong zoning ay nagbibigay daan para sa mga kapaki-pakinabang na paggamit ng lupa. So, maaaring isama ito sa salik ng ibang panlabas na node, no? External node na naka-impluwensya sa mga kabayaran ng mga pamuhunan. So, second is the tax incentives. So, government programs or tax incentives that promote residential housing or commercial development can be enhanced profitability, like tax break for green building certification could for more favor for commercial or residential properties, and it's depending on the firm's strategy, and this should be an influence node that modifies the payoff of the investments. So yung mga programa ng mga gobyerno, no, yung mga buwis na nagtataguy ng bahay or commercial, ito ay maaaring mapahusay kay kayahang kumita. So, yun nga, ang halimbawa yung tax break na may certification na maaaring pabor sa commercial o residential ng mga ari-arian. So, depende ito sa diskarte ng kumpanya. So, ito ay magiging isang influence na nagbabago ng kabayaran sa mga residential or real estate company. Number 3 is yung interest rate. So, higher interest rate increase financing costs, yes, especially for commercial and land development, that reducing expected returns, and the interest rate can be added to the influence diagram as a factor that can affect all investment payoff. So, ito lang naman yung pabago-bagong rates ng interest, no? Yung mga gastos ng financing sa mga proyekto ng land development na binabawasan ang inaasahang pagbabalik ng karagdagang kita. So, yung interest rate sa diagram ay isang maimpluwensyang nakaka-apekto sa lahat ng kabayaran ng pamuhunan. Pang-apat, yung economic policies that the governments handle. Infrastructure. So, for example, yung land transportation, public amenities could increase demand for residential or commercial properties. So, isa siyang external node din, no? Yung mga gastos ng pamahalaan, like mga transportation, na maaaring tumaas ng pangangailangan para sa lahat ng tirahan o commercial ng ari-arian. So, ito ay magiging isang modelo ng isang panlabas na node. So, ito ay nakaka-apekto talaga sa inaasahang kabayaran. Number 5, yung mga trends ng demands. So, ito yung mga pagbabago sa mga kagustuhan ng mga consumer, tulad ng mga tumataas na demand para sa residential property sa suburban areas. Or maaaring makaapekto sa kabayaran para sa residential. So, it's a kind of model bilang panlabas na salik na nakaapekto sa inasahang kabayaran. So, next natin yung number 7, reflecting on the decision tree. What additional branches like construction delays, interest rate, could improve the analysis? So, makikita naman natin sa ating decision tree na land transportation is one of the most, yung minimus regret na napili natin. 15. So sa number 7, to enhance the decision tree, the following additional branch could improve the analysis. Like yung construction delays, yung timeline due to regulatory issues, labor shortage, or weather. So ito talaga yung nag-i-impact sa land development or ng commercial properties. So, because of this delays, talagang nagkakaroon ng isa sa pinaka mataas na gastos. So, pag mataas ang gastos, mababa ang kita, lalo na para sa mga puhunan na umaasa sa matagalang pag-unlad. Number 2 is yung interest rate changes. So, nabanggit na rin sa number 6 na ang pag-fluctuate ng interest rate ay isa sa mga nakakaapekto ng financing costs for land development and commercial. So, So, in this rate na nagpapababa sa kanilang kakayang kumita, lalo na sa booming o stable na condition. So, isa ito sa mga decision na analysis na ating improve. So, pangatlo is yung marketing demand fluctuation. Yung shifting ng market demand for residential, commercial, or land properties na nakaapekto sa payoff. So, for instance, if there is a sudden surge in demand for residential properties during the booming, the payoff of the residential could increase. Now, this could be represented as a branch that adjusts the payoff based on the demand changes. Pang-apat is the environmental regulation. So to improve the analysis of the additional branches to enhance the decision tree, so the new environmental regulation or zoning changes could impact the cost of land development, particularly in land development, which highly sensitive to external regulation. So alam naman natin yung land development is very, talagang meron siyang mga certification and papers. So, operational risks associated with the labor shortage, materials costs, and supply chain disruption that could delay the project or increase the cost. So, for example, niyan is yung land developments that requires the specialized materials or equipment that becomes scarcity. So, the project time could be delayed, leading to higher costs and reduced profitability. So, number 8 question, why might the Minimax Circuit approach be particularly useful for the risk-averse firm? So, ang discard na Minimax ay particularly na nakipagpakinabang para sa isang kumpanya para maiwasan ang panganib ng dahilan na pinapalit nito ang potensyal para yung regret, yung regret sa pinakamasamang situation. So, number 1 is pag-minimize sa pinakamasamang kaso ng paghihinay. Or sa English is minimizing the worst case regret. So, is more concerned about avoiding significant losses rather than maximizing potential gain. So, the minimus regret approach focuses on identifying the decision that minimize the maximum regret. So, maiwasan yung pinakamataas na regret sa pagtatayo ng real estate. So the difference between the best possible payoff in the state and the payoff of the specific decision in the state. So this approach helps the firm avoid extreme negative outcomes, which is important for firms that prioritize stability or yung stable program over high risk or high reward scenarios. Pangatlo yung decision under uncertainty. So, dahil yung kumpanya ay naharap sa ayan na sa tiyak na isang kondisyon sa ekonomiya like etong booming, stable, declining, yung minimax regret approach ay very helpful sa mga pagpili ng investment that can limit no sa limit sa pinakamasamang possible result no. Ang isang kumpanya na naglalayong maiwasan ang malaking pagkalugi sa hindi kanais-nais na mga kondisyon sa ekonomiya. Ito ay napakalaking pakinabang. So, pangmatagalang katatagan sa English is long-term stability. So, by minimizing the regret or the worst case loss, the firm is more likely to choose investment that provide more consistent returns, even if they are not highest possible returns. So, this align no, sa long-term stability. No? Yung kahit maliit, hindi naman maliit, yung standard na nakukuha mong return is meron siyang hindi siya nakakakuha ng higher possible na loss. Yeah. Number 9 is which investment align best for the firm long term, steady cash flows or market presence, and how should this influence the recommendation. So based on the firm's long-term goals, let's assess this investment naman. So in residential, offers steady returns, which is 20 million in booming, 15 million in stable, and 5 million in declining. So it provides a more predictable cash flow and best suited for a firm focused on long-term stability and steady cash flow. Sa commercial naman, it high returns in boom. So 30 million, di ba? Laki. But lower in declining. So 0 million. So good for growth but may not align with the stable goals since it's more vulnerable to economic downturns. Sa land transportation naman, high returns in booming. So 50 million but significantly loss in declining negative million. Offers high growth potential but a high risk, making it less ideal for firm focused stability in long term. Pero sa nagiging result naman natin is meron sa residential merong 30% na booming, 0% declining. Commercial naman is 20% na booming at 20 million, million. 0 stable, 5 in declining. So, malaki talagang decline. So, land development man, 15 yung decline. So, mataas yung declining. 0 naman yung booming. At least 10% yung kanyang stability. So, in the recommendation for cash flow and market presence, residential is the best choice. It provides consistent return across economic condition, making it more aligned with the long-term stability. So, sino ba yung may long-term stability dito? Walang iba kundi si land development. Si residential. Pero, sa naging regret natin, 10% lang naman si stable. Number 10, how might operation factors like labor availability, material cost affect the decision? So operational factor can significantly affect the feasibility and profitability of each investments. So number 10, labor availability. So it can a shortage of skilled labor or labor strike can delay constructions, particularly for commercial and land development projects. So if the labor shortage leads to delays, their project may miss out on an optimal market condition. So it reducing their effective profitability. Material costs, rising scale can increase the cost of land development and commercial projects. So, halimbawa dyan, yung development requires specialized materials, large quantities, no? Pag once na maraming material at mamahaling material, so it's really costs something. Supply chain issues, disruption in the chain can delay project and increase costs. So for land and commercial, supply chain delays could cause significantly problems, while residential project may face less severe disruption. Regulatory compliance, new regulations can increase construction costs also, or cost delays. So particularly sa land development. So this factor should be considered in the decision tree, especially for investment that are highly dependent on regulatory approval. So given this operational factors, the residential is likely the less impact by the challenges. Let's see. So zero declining, so residential. Commercial is 20% booming and 50%, 15 million naman yung land development. So residential is one of the greatest or highest, no? Merong booming and zero declining. Whether it's 5%, 5 million stable. So, ito yung nakikita nating losses, opportunities. So, yun. Thank you so much.